focus today is a troubling twist in the aftermath of one of Canada's deadliest school shootings. A grim report first published by the Wall Street Journal revealed that an automated review system at OpenAI flagged disturbing conversations that the future mass shooter Jesse Van Rootselaar was having with the company's flagship AI ChatGPT 8 months before the event. The revelation has thrown light to an emerging scenario where artificial intelligence may have seen warning signs long before the violence unfolded. So today, we take a closer look at what was known, what was flagged, and what questions remain about the role of AI technology in this tragedy. Let's begin with the incident. Jesse Van, an 18-year-old resident of Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia, a small rural community, has been identified by Canadian authorities as the person behind the shooting that took place on the 10th of February. Rootselaar carried out the deadly attack where she first shot dead her mother and half-brother at their home before going to the Tumbler Ridge Secondary School, where she randomly opened fire on students and staff. Canadian police say 8 people were killed in the shooting, including children and an educational assistant, and dozens were injured before she died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Police had previously attended Van Rootselaar's home on multiple occasions over the past several years, with some calls related to mental health concerns. She also previously held a valid gun license that had since lapsed. The attack was Canada's deadliest rampage since 2020, when a gunman in Nova Scotia killed 13 people and set fires that left another 9 people dead. Now, here's the central development that has turned focus back on the tragedy. In June of last year, approximately 8 months before the shooting, the company behind ChatGPT, OpenAI, internally flagged and banned a ChatGPT account associated with Van Rootselaar. According to a spokeswoman for the company, automated safety systems and later manual review processes detected that the account had been misused in ways that could be related to violent activities or dangerous intent. As a result, the account was terminated for violating usage policies. Reports also state that the company debated whether to alert Canadian authorities about the troubling interactions, but ultimately decided against it as it did not meet the company's threshold for referral to law enforcement. Essentially, this means that the company believed that the interactions did not show imminent or credible planning of violence or serious physical harm to others. OpenAI says that decision was based on a policy standard intended to balance public safety with privacy rights and avoid unnecessary police involvement in cases where harm isn't clearly imminent. After the mass shooting occurred this month, however, the company says it did proactively contact the Royal Canadian Mounted Police with information about the account and use of ChatGPT to aid in the investigation. The sequence of events has sparked intense public and media attention, and the central question now is whether better or earlier action could have prevented this attack. So what exactly did the shooter do on ChatGPT? It's the big question. While the details of the actual chats have not been publicly revealed, reports suggest that the account was flagged for describing scenarios involving gun violence over the course of several days. OpenAI then banned the account for violating its usage policy and efforts for furtherance of violent activities. OpenAI said it trains its models to discourage users from committing real-world harm and routes conversations in which users express intent of harm to human reviewers, who are able to refer them to law enforcement in cases where they are found to pose an imminent risk of serious physical harm. Now, we know that Van Rootselaar was already known to the local police before the shooting. Police had visited where she lived multiple times to handle mental health concerns and temporarily removed guns from the residence. The question that thus arises is, could the information of a conversation with the AI platform acted as timely information for a person already under authorities' radar? Well, following the shooter's identification, a specialized team of investigators has also been combing through her online activity and digital footprint for clues about the mass shooting, as well as reviewing her past interactions with police and mental health professionals. Some of Van Rootselaar's digital footprint has already surfaced online. She had created a video game that simulated a mass shooting inside a shopping mall on online gaming platform Roblox. The simulation, which was never approved for distribution to casual gamers, allowed a Roblox character to pick up various weapons and shoot other characters in a mall. Archived social media posts show Van Rootselaar posted pictures of herself shooting at gun range, claiming to have created a bullet cartridge using a 3D printer and engaged in online discussions about YouTube videos made by gun enthusiasts. As the investigation continues and authorities methodically review digital and physical evidence, the conversation about AI's role in preempting violent acts is likely to intensify. This incident has highlighted the enormous ethical and practical challenges at the crossroads of technology, safety, and human behavior. And as we have seen, the answers are neither simple nor clear-cut. For example, in another case in Florida, United States, a 13-year-old student's day took a turn when he logged onto a school device and typed a disturbing query into ChatGPT. How to kill my friend in the middle of class? Within minutes, an AI-powered school safety program called the flagged message and alerted authorities, while a school resource officer immediately confronted the student. The teenager allegedly told police that he was just joking around with his friend. Other examples include flags for threats in Lawrence, Kansas, which saw over 1,200 incidents in a 10-month period, including violence-related content, and Vancouver schools, where hundreds were flagged for threats of violence. Online platforms have long debated how to balance questions of privacy for their users with public safety in their decisions to alert certain users to law enforcement. That debate is now coming for the AI companies that power the chatbots to which people are confiding the most intimate details of their private thoughts and lives. Let's get a perspective on this. Mr. Ritesh Bhatia, cybersecurity expert, is with us on the program to talk more about this. Ritesh, thank you for speaking with us. What do you think of this case? Is it too early for, put the blame on AI? Because obviously it needs a lot more data to figure out if somebody is going to have this kind of a predictable behavior. Or do you think there are clues and red flags already available in the system which could prevent people from getting killed?
Absolutely, Vineet. Firstly, thank you for having me on the show. Vineet, if you would have seen, we've already seen the kind of mess which has been there when the social media has been there, right from the time over there. So if we are not going to learn our lessons, as to what has happened on social media, there have been people have committed suicides or they've got rape threats and whatnot. Right, and again the authorities, or I would say rather the intermediaries, have never ever supported. They've just kind of blocked the accounts or banned the accounts, or at times they even haven't taken actions. Now on the social media, what was happening at that point of time, the intermediaries could only know that okay, what we like and what we don't like and other kind of things. But now with AI coming in, they also know what we think. You can just tell AI, what do you think about me? If you have spent a good amount of time on it, it is going to tell you everything about your personality and how do you even think as such. So I think, learning lessons from the social media kind of thing, what they should have done over here was that, okay, now that they know the human's mind also, their user's mind also, I think they should have taken an action. Like for example, in ChatGPT itself, the employees themselves flagged it out even to the management. The management said, no, it's way too early. I don't think so. It's them who need to decide that. What they should have done is that they should have reported it to the police that here is somebody with a wishful thinking. His psychological, this thing looks very, very disturbed as such. Maybe you would want to keep a watch. As you were telling on the show earlier, the police had already gone to her house and, confiscated certain guns and other kind of things. Probably this data today would have saved lives of many.
All right. Well, Ritesh, do you think, just a quick answer to this query that I have, do you think that AI probably in the future will also help us profile criminals and, to a very little extent, help solve crimes as well?
Oh yes, of course it would, and it is already doing that. Me being a cybercrime investigator, I know I have cracked 5-6 cases which I couldn't have cracked earlier as such. So of course it would do that. But again, the question comes about, when we are talking about profiling, then we are also talking about privacy. Now, what happens about that? And that's the reason we need, it's very important, that the governments of the world come together and they now define the frameworks for the AI governance.
Fair enough.
It's very, very important because
fair
when
enough,
it is for the
Ritesh.
larger good.
Yeah, fair enough, Ritesh. We've run out of time, but I appreciate your response and I appreciate you taking out the time as well. Thank you so much. We take a short break. Be right back.